Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new and very special episode of the Metal Meltdown, and also the very first episode, hopefully not the last, of Uncle Melty's Kitchen. Woo! I didn't know we had a studio in here. That's crazy. Thank you, live studio audience, that I didn't know was here until now. Anna, how did we fit all them in here?
They're very, very small. That's all. There's like a huge group of little people.
Yeah,
they're just tiny. They're very small. We shrunk them down.
You shrunk them down?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
With the shrinking ray, of course.
With the shrinking ray?
With a shrink ray, yeah. Of course.
What kind of Ant-Man bullshit are you smoking right now? For those of you who do not know, I am outside of the Metal Meltdown, a full-time professional chef, trained at George Brown Culinary School. I've worked in some of the best restaurants in Southern Ontario. I even worked for Jamie Oliver for a hot minute. Shout out Jamie, I know you're watching, bud. For some reason, there has always been a demand for me to bring some cooking content to the Metal Meltdown, for me to merge these two worlds together. I kind of thought you guys were joking though, so we did a poll, and it turns out, you were not joking. You made it pretty overwhelmingly, almost scarily clear you were not joking. So, here we are, Uncle Melty's fucking kitchen. Through this series, my goal is to show you how to make some classic dishes that I would have absolutely no issue serving in a restaurant, in the comfort of your own home, and with a brutal little twist, and with ingredients that you can hopefully find at your local grocery store. I mean, obviously I don't know what your local grocery store carries, but everything that I am using today, I got at my local grocery store. And guess what? Because you asked for the series, I fully expect you to make everything I show you in this video and every other video. Is that understood? This is the part where you say, yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
There we go. All right, today we're making beer brined bone-in pork chops with cassoulet and a savory pear mostarda. All right, let's start with our pork chops. Madam Director, if you wouldn't mind coming on over this way. These here are our bone-in Nagano pork chops. They have been brining for 2 days in a combination of golden lager, ambrosia apples, thyme, rosemary, black peppercorns, and garlic. Now again, these have been brining for 2 days. That means I started this Friday night. We are recording this Sunday night. That means if you want to do it the way I did it, you're doing this now and you're eating it 2 days later. Just a heads up. When we get these out of the brine, we're obviously going to want to pat these dry. Little paper towel, no big deal. By the time they're dry enough to fry, we'll have everything else ready. Also, pro tip, have everything else ready. There is no need to wing it. Have everything ready. It's mise en place. It is simple shit, people. Anna, if you wouldn't mind. Notice how I have absolutely everything that I need to make everything that I'm going to show you right here. I have my pears, my mustard, my rosemary, my thyme for my mostarda. I have my sausage and all my veggies and my beans for my cassoulet, and obviously I have my pork ready to go. Part of the reason why people think that cooking is so difficult is because there's so much prep to do, and obviously there's always going to be some prep. But if you get it all ready and you have it there waiting for you, it's a little easier. Mise en place. Use it. It's helpful. Oh, and don't think for a moment that you can fucking reuse this or even drink it just because it has beer in it. Unless you're brining more pork chops, this is kind of useless right now. And just a little heads up, yes, the beer that you use in your brine is going to change what the brine tastes like and in turn what the pork tastes like. The stuff I use specifically is a golden lager from the Indie Alehouse Brewing Company located here in Toronto, Ontario. You do not have to use this specific beer, but I would recommend you try to use a golden lager similar to this beer. You use something like, say, a Guinness, which has a much darker, heavier flavor profile, and you're gonna end up with something completely different. Alright, so the most time-consuming aspect of this whole thing is going to be the actual cassoulet itself. So, let's officially start with that. Cassoulet is a dish that originates from southern France. It is traditionally a slow-cooked stew made with navy and haricot beans, preserved meats, game and goose meat. For this cassoulet, we'll be using navy beans, we'll be using ground pork sausage, we'll be using a standard mirepoix of root vegetables, carrots, onion, celery. Carrots have been cut into the little medallions. Onions I've sliced more of a thin julienne style. Same thing with the celery. And I'm also going to throw in some Brussels sprouts because they pair quite nicely with pork and bacon and any kind of stuff like that. Oh, by the way, when you're cutting your vegetables, when you're shaving the carrots and cutting the ends off the celery and getting rid of that onion skin, don't throw it out. Instead, put it into a pot of water and boil it, and you can use that for vegetable stock, which we will actually use in the cassoulet today, and in the future, you can use vegetable stock to make gravy, soup, a variety of sauces. You can use it to make more cassoulet, even risotto. All right, turning the pan on for the stock, medium heat. You don't need this to boil just yet. It's gonna take roughly 30 to 40 minutes on a medium heat to really get to that state where it's a good, healthy, nutritious vegetable broth and stock. All right, in your largest pot, medium heat, a little bit of canola oil. Take some ground sausage, your ground sausage specifically. Don't be afraid to put your hands in there. Don't be afraid to get dirty. That's why we have cloths. That's why we have hand soap. It's all good. These are the cleanest hands you'll find. And right now what we want to do is we want to reduce the fat in that ground pork, in that sausage meat, and just bring it to like a nice solid medium rare. And then we're actually going to remove it from the pot, and we're going to cook our root vegetables in the pork fat. You know what? I'm maybe going to add the rest of the sausage. Fuck it.
Yeah. That's always a good choice. More meat.
Hell yeah. Who doesn't love meat? All right. Our sausage is cooked, so I'm going to remove it from the pan. But I'm not going to get rid of the excess grease and fat. Again, I'm going to use that to start cooking my root vegetables. And specifically, I'm going to start with my carrots and my celery, which I've got backwards, because that is what's going to take the cook the longest. The onions are going to take no time. Same with the Brussels sprouts. The beans you put in last. Period. All right, with that in mind, no more talking. Carrots. I've used colored heirloom carrots for this because that's just what I had in the fridge. It doesn't really matter what specific carrot you use, to be blunt. And our celery. And we're going to take our sweet time. We're going to add a little bit of oil, but again, we want to use a good chunk of that excess grease and fat from the pork. All right, right now I've got that at an above medium heat. Let's move on to start making our mostarda. So what I have here are regular green Bartlett pears. I've got thyme, I've got rosemary. I'm going to add some sugar and some water. I was hoping to use mustard seeds, but that was the one thing I could not get at any grocery store. I subbed it out for Dijon mustard. Essentially, a pear mostarda is kind of like a pear compote or chutney with a savory, mustardy kind of flavor. It's very common in like European and Italian cuisine. There's our pears in there. We're gonna add some butter in a moment, because that's gonna add some color and give it a little bit of moisture before we add the sugar and the water. All right, we've got some granulated sugar here. I'm not gonna add a lot, just to kind of add a syrupy texture. And now we're gonna add some water as well. Once again, not a lot, just to kind of add to that syrupy texture. And that's it. We're just gonna let it kind of slowly do its thing. Just let it be. Leave it alone. It's all good. All right, our celery is looking good. We're gonna add our onions next. And same thing, once those get a little translucent, once they get more of a golden color, then we're gonna add our Brussels sprouts, and then we're gonna start adding some stock.
You got your little beer sauce.
That's right, I do have my little beer sauce. We have a little beer whiskey things on them. It's whiskey.
Whiskey, okay.
All right, at this point, I'm gonna add our Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts is not normally something you would find in a cassoulet, but again, I kind of just wanted to get them out of the fridge. Plus, Brussels sprouts does actually pair very nicely with pork. Fun fact, the first time I ever had Brussels sprouts and actually liked it was literally pan-fried with pork belly. All right, once we've got a little more color on these onions and Brussels sprouts, we're gonna add our sausage again. The mostarda is coming along quite nicely as well. We've got a nice texture. It still needs quite a bit of time, but we're looking okay. All right, my pork chops are here. They're starting to look nice and dry. I'm gonna throw them in my electric frying pan in a moment. I'm not gonna add any extra seasoning whatsoever. No salt, no pepper. Just a nice hard golden brown sear, and then I'm gonna let it cook until it's roughly 155 to 160 degrees internally Fahrenheit. Now, I don't actually use a thermometer because I don't fucking need it. You might, but if you're feeling cocky, if you're feeling like you can manage, you can actually check the temperature and the feel of a meat with your hand. So this right here, this feeling, if you hold out your hand, this is raw meat. This is rare meat. This is medium rare. This is medium, and this is well done. And obviously your medium well is gonna exist somewhere in the middle of medium and medium well. You're kind of doing a little bit of a guess at that point. But it's a good guess. I promise you, you know what well-done meat feels like. I fucking promise you. Especially if you grew up in a fucking White House like I did. All right, everything's looking good. I'm gonna re-add all of my sausage. And booyah, we're actually gonna lower the temperature just a little bit, and we're not gonna do much else with that for now. What we will do is I'm gonna turn on my electric frying pan over here. I'm gonna set it to about 400 degrees for now for when we're searing the pork chops. Our mostarda's looking really good as well, starting to get that nice syrupy, creamy texture, and it looks like our stock is about to boil as well. There we go, some nice golden vegetable stock. We're gonna add some of that to our cassoulet now, just a little bit. Just a fucking little bit. That actually works out nicely because now I can focus all of my attention on the aforementioned pork chops. Drop it in away from you so you don't get that oil splashback. To be honest, the cassoulet by itself, in the wintertime, it's a perfect dish. You fill this up again with some game meat, with some goose, preserved meats. Just add more broth, make it thick and rich and soupy and buttery. Boom, you don't need pork chops, you don't need mostarda. This is good on its own. To be honest, one of the best dishes I ever had was in a French restaurant called Karen's, and it was literally just a classic French cassoulet with braised duck leg and sausage, and you got your beans and your veg. Mwah, delicious. All right, I'm just adding a little bit of butter here so we can get a little bit more color on some of these pork chops. At this point, we're kind of just making sure that everything tastes good and everything's up to code. Which is another thing, by the way. Taste as you go along. If you wouldn't eat it, if you don't like it, why on earth would you serve it to a loved one, a good friend, a potential employer? Do you want to fuck shit up for yourself? I don't think you do. Taste and season as you fucking go. That smells fucking amazing. I got butter, I got mustard, I got sausage, I got a beautiful, earthy, healthy stock. I'm in heaven right now. This is great. And I got beer. I'm still drinking beer too. It's
I'm
fucking
so
awesome.
excited to eat this.
All right, to be honest, I feel pretty confident with our veg and our sausage here. So I'm gonna finally add our navy haricot beans. And I'm gonna turn down the heat big time on this. I do not wanna overcook these beans. I do not wanna turn this into paste and glue. Anna, do you wanna eat pasty, gluey beans?
No.
Fuck no, you don't. You wanna eat something that's fucking good. We're also gonna add some more veg stock again. Now that we've added our beans, we're looking for that stewy, saucy consistency to kind of bind everything together. Now all that's left to do is taste it and see if it's up to code. Still needs more salt, more pepper. But it is good. And you know what? Maybe we'll switch things up and add a few more things as well. And you know what? Maybe just a little bit of paprika. Not too much. You don't want to overpower it. I'm just looking to give this a little bit of balance, a little bit of contrast, a little bit of color. Nothing crazy, nothing too spicy or wild. All right, let's try this again. That's fucking dynamite, baby. Fuck yeah. All right, it looks like our pork chops are pretty well done, so why don't we do some plating? Let's get to the fun part. Let's make this shit look pretty. Voila, let's get one good hearty scoop of fucking cassoulet. Right there in the fucking center there. Fuck yeah, dude. All right, our pork chop's looking good. You want to present the side with the most color, because that's the side that looks the best. A little bit of our mostarda right on top there. You know what? In some restaurants, they use this fun thing called garnish. So I've actually got some sunflower sprouts here. This is not an essential thing to have, but I'm showing you how to make restaurant quality food, so why not? Let's make it a little extra pretty and fancy and nice. Look at that. There you go. Beer brined bone-in pork chops with a pear mostarda and cassoulet. Look at that. Look at that fucking beauty. Anna, in front of you, you have a fork and a knife. Time for you to tell me, did Robert do it right?
I'm gonna start with the cassoulet. That's so good.
That's so good? Hell yeah.
That's really fucking good.
And you're not just saying this because you're on camera, right?
That was fucking delicious.
Hell yeah. All right, and that does it. Beer brined bone-in pork chops with cassoulet and mostarda. I've shown you how to make it. I've told you what you need. Now it's your turn to go out and make it your fucking self. Post it on Instagram. Feel free to tag me at the Metal Meltdown. Post it in our Discord server as well. We have a special little chat just for delicious food and drink. I look forward to seeing what you make, and I hope you look forward to other potential fun things here on the Metal Meltdown, other episodes of Uncle Melty's Kitchen. Let me know if you like this. Let me know where we can improve. This is our first time doing this. I want to hear some constructive criticism. Let me know, please and thank you. Press this button to subscribe. Look, there's even more videos here. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.